Hi guys, it's Wednesday afternoon. I'm weather analyst Andrew Fleck, just here for a weather outlook for analysiswx.com. Today's points we're going to talk about is just one point, and that's going to be the East Coast snowstorm possibility late this weekend. We're going to talk about the factors and areas of interest. Before we go into the models, we're going to go to the scenario map that analysiswx.com came up with, and two scenarios. One scenario taking the storm out to sea, another one taking this storm up the coast. So we're going to have to see where exactly this goes, and that's what I plan on talking about today. Looking at the models here, this is the GFS model on absolute vorticity, and I love using this type of format on a model because you can see where the negative vorticities are and the positive vorticities. Really helps with figuring out where the ridging is and where the troughing and transferring energy is, and that's what I'll be using on this map today for the GFS. And what mainly I want to talk about first is the factors. The factors are big because a few days ago we only had one area of positive vorticity up here, and what this guy up here was doing is just pushing the millibar south. So when the trough came down, it wasn't as amplified. The storm formed off the coast, and it just had to creep just south and off the sea, and it didn't really affect anybody with about anything. Well, today, looking at the models, you have three areas of positive vorticity. One out here, the primary one I was talking about, and then this guy up here that is starting to come to the equation. And by the way, this one up here is going to be the real difference maker, because what happens is now you're having three positive vorticities transferring, and this one is the one that you really want to see become the primary, because this is the one that's going to eventually transfer into the back side of this trough, and depending how strong, deepen this trough and make a track go from this to possibly up in this area. So we're going to talk about that a little more through this video. Looking at the next imagery here, Saturday, this is the GFS Saturday, you can then see that this eastern positive vorticity is pretty much out of the equation, and what this primary does is now transfers into a new primary, and now you can start to see a little bit in here, some transferring going on to the back edge of this trough, and now you're starting to see some more amplification here. And as the storm starts to move across the Gulf into the southeast, this thing looks a little more amplified than it did a few days ago, and that does improve and definitely confirm on the next imagery here. You have now the primary looking a lot more better here and a lot more evident, and now you really see the trough amplify and looking like this. The big question is, how much can it dig into the storm? How much more can it pull the storm west? Because we have the storm here. Big question is, if this can pull the storm more west, instead of it going this way, it's going to start following up the track this way. It's going to be a very, very big question and very, very big skepticism to whether and what this does. In my opinion, folks, I really would not be surprised if this low pressure on the models continues to back more and more west. Basically, what I saw was one area of positive vorticity a few days ago up here. Now you have it transferring back here, and now you have early amplification out here, and that's why the storm is starting to bomb out quicker and things of that nature are occurring. And that's what I keep saying, this really does not surprise me if after another day or so this starts to look more like an eastern seaboard snowstorm. I'm not forecasting that to occur, but it really would not surprise me. So my confidence level in that occurring is not too low, nor is it too high. Last but not least, we're going to look at the euro here. And what the euro has is similar to the GFS. You have this, first of all, this area of energy up here, then transfers back here. It back edges the trough, deepens into the storm. You have a storm along the eastern seaboard, and this guy is going to move to the northeast and bomb out, similar to what the GFS has. You have a transferable area up here. It's going to back edge the trough, amplify it. Storm forms, either goes on the northern side of this or it goes to the more eastern side of this. So I think really during this video we figured out where the factor and what the factor was to be able to now start making this more interesting, and that was to whether this right up here was going to go and become and transfer its back edge side to the trough and amplify it. And we've seen that, and that is now confirming. Now the question is, how much can it start to leak into the storm and curl the storm more inland and more to the west along the eastern seaboard, and how strong can the storm go? Those are going to be a few very, very good questions, and we're going to talk about that as we go through the evening hours in the next few days. Now, I know the Euro is coming out in a little bit, and I might post a map up of what the Euro showed, and maybe a little discussion after that. But really, folks, this is going to be interesting, and I don't think this is by any means to be writing off. Now, as for the areas of interest, I really do believe at this point that areas of this nature right in here are going to be needing to watch, because the storm is going to be moving like this, and you're going to have that, if any, precip just to the west. So we'll have to go and see what that exactly does. But as of now, the model trends are a little more west and becoming to more of realistic compromise to the strength and track and transferableness to the storm. So we'll see what happens. I'm AnalysisWX.com's weather analyst, Andrew Fleck. Like I said, I might have a map or a discussion later on today, but I'm going to keep the video up maybe until about the evening time and then give you a discussion and a map. So that's about it right now for your Wednesday afternoon. Have a nice one, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.